Hey guys, welcome back to 20 Meter Restart Agree to Disagree Rugby League Podcast. I'm Hoonz and I'm with Nick and Ra, and today we're doing the State of Origin game number 1 wrap up. It's going to be interesting, and I just want to say, hey boys.
Hey, good morning, Hoonz.
Good morning.
Yeah, so State of Origin game number 1, very interesting.
Very
interesting. It was a two-way kind of game that we saw on Wednesday, guys. Anyway, I just want to say this is, how did you guys rate GI's Maroons and their performance? Ra, we'll start with you.
Well, Hoonz and Nick, if we're going on their performance, I give the Maroons a grading of a C-.
C-, far up.
C-.
He passed him.
The reason why is they were unorganized. Like, you saw them, and they weren't organized at all. They applied no pressure. And you know what was astounding? Their defense. How many tackles? 53 tackles missed in the Origin game. And you saying that these guys are the best of the best? That is disgraceful in the Origin game. Not only that, if you're meant to be the best of the best, and this is the pinnacle, apparently the pinnacle, even the Parramatta Eels will beat the Maroons during that time. That's how disgraceful they were. And, you know, what's that saying? Never leave champion players out. And guess what? Kevin Walters, he left champion players out. Boyd, Scott, why in the world would you leave those two out? You know, especially since Slater went down. And I heard all this noise about, you know, he contacted Boyd and that, but it was too late. He didn't even add him to the team. Not even 18th man. Silly. Just silly, Hoonz. And yeah, GI, he played a magnificent game. All the other rookies, are you sure they're Origin material? They'll have to step up in game 2 for sure. That's my piece for now, Hoonz.
What about you, Nick?
Jeez, you don't have to be nice, right? Tell them what you really think. No, look, I'm not too dissimilar from what Ra said there. I think it was really disappointing performance. I'd base it mostly around the forwards. I think there was no drive in the forwards. I didn't see any passion, any hard work there. And that could be a consequence of leaving Matt Scott out. Could certainly be, and no doubt Kevy will put him in the second game side, and we'll see what difference that makes. But yeah, overall, I think GI tried as a captain. I think he did try and step up. He did sort of lead by example, and credit to him. But the team didn't follow. The forward pack need their own leader, and they've lost that with Smith and obviously Scott being out. And I guess Matt Scott's their only real hope now. Is how I see it. So, Hoonz?
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you. There's nothing to really debate about, really, with the Queensland's performance. You know, GI, tried his heart out as captain, made some great defensive plays, but on the flip side of his attack, you know, he was non-existent at times. He was dangerous with the ball, but I blame the spine. They cut him out. And you're like, Cameron Munster, you're on the left side. You have the most destructive centre in the world, the best centre in the world. Apparently, Will Chambers is the best centre in the NRL, but we all totally disagree.
Yep.
Especially since GI's back in the centre role, left centre. And in that moment, when I seen McCulloch, Hunt, Munster, and Morgan as the spine, and I just went, wow, like, you know, GI, man, like, GI must miss Jonathan Thurston giving him those quality balls, or Cameron Smith giving him those balls, or Billy Slater sweeping through. And then I think GI even missed his old buddy, Darius Boyd, second highest try scorer in Origin history. Like Ra said, you don't leave champions out. And I just don't understand how he didn't get selected. What he has over the other boys, yes, they might be faster now. They might be maybe more talented than Boyd. What Boyd had was never give up attitude. That Queensland, that motto that's been carried throughout generations of Queenslanders. Never give up. And I know this for a fact that Darius would have did the intricate parts of the games, like kick chase, he would have been down there. We all know. We've seen him do it for the Bronx. We've seen him do it for Queensland for many years. Him, Thurston, and Inglis all on that left side would have been down there, all together. All I saw was Inglis chasing. Where was Munster? Where was Hoonz? And then, like you said, Nick, the forwards. There was no leader. There was absolutely no leaders, and they left Matt Scott out. I just can't believe it. I'm gonna grill Walters, Walters and the selectors. That they're at fault as well because they chose a team supposedly to be more informed, and you choose Colin Hess over somebody like Corey Oates who would have made a better impact on the bench. Colin Hess was non-existent in it, and I'm a Cowboys supporter, guys. I'm a Cowboys supporter, and I didn't even think he's playing well for the Cowboys. I thought Gavin Cooper had to cover Cameron Munster all night, so his attack was nullified. He didn't make much meters because of that. Cameron Munster was a liability. You've definitely seen him exposed. Like, man, what you got anything else to add, bro?
Yeah. Well, even the spine, they didn't really punch the line or even put pressure whatsoever. Yeah, defensively, the Maroons might have put pressure, but the Blues were like, how long can you keep it up? And then they got exposed. Just little things like when Josh Maguire made a tackle, he was coming back into the line, and that the A and B defender should have covered his ass. And now Damien Cook found him out. And then I saw the forwards, like Dylan Napa was one of them that I saw. He gave up.
Kafusi, yeah.
Kafusi was another one. They have to cover Josh Maguire. Josh Maguire is a proven Origin player.
Yep.
And those guys didn't back him up. They just left him hanging.
And that was his first game, in 6 weeks?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he still played better than most of them.
Yep.
That's how crazy it was.
He was leading the meters for the Queensland forwards.
Yeah, of course. Because he's an
with an injured
Origin
ankle.
player.
He was a leader.
Him and Josh Papali were the only two forwards that, they were proven Origin players.
Agreed, bro.
And that. But the spine as well. Ben Hunt, Cameron Munster, as you were saying. Their kicks. Why did you keep kicking it to Tom Jabojevic after he defused at least 5 of those bombs? I just don't understand that type of game plan. Ben Hunt might have put in one good kick, but that's about it. There was nothing else. Cameron Munster was ball hogging, not giving it to your best attacking weapon in your side.
Well, Nick, one of the best attacking weapons of all time in rugby league.
Exactly. And it was just astounding. And that McCulloch, he was nullified by defending all day.
Yeah, 50-yard tackles.
He's just you knew that he could defend, but there was no attack. There was just nothing. They threw nothing at the Blues. Nick, you got anything to add to that?
Not particularly. I did want to challenge Hoonz though, because you obviously spoke about leaving Darius out, but would you have left out Gagai or Holmes?
I would have left out Holmes. Gagai
Right.
was the Wally Lewis medal winner.
Yeah.
Deserves to be there.
Yeah, I agree. And out of the two, I would pick Gagai every day of the week.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that. So Holmes scored 8 of the Queensland's 12 points. Scored a 90-metre intercept try, which Boyd wouldn't have done. And kicked from the sideline, which Boyd wouldn't have done. I didn't think... Did they score many? I think they scored... Tom Trbojevic scored over the top of Holmes.
Yep.
Was there any other tries on that side?
Well, they broke the line on that side multiple occasions. So
First try came from sort of the middle.
yeah, middle. But it was the James Tedesco break on the left side. So they were exposed. You know this for a fact is that Boyd and Inglis. Cameron Munster missed the tackle, and that's what really left the hole open for James Tedesco. But it's just little plays like that. You know that Darius would have swept across all the way back to the right side to help. You didn't see that. See, Jonathan Thurston, Cooper Cronk are the same. They would do that. I didn't see any attempt.
I agree, but it's not just about who's replacing who. Is that they didn't even put him as 18th man. Like, I would have put Darius Boyd still in the team as 18th man, still part of the camp, knowing that, okay, at least we got Darius just in case an injury happens. And guess what? You lost Slater. And if Darius was part of that camp still, he would have played. He would have been slotted into fullback. And who's the best at 3-on-2 situations? Darius, the best fullback at 3-on-2 situations.
Slots in as a third half.
And when you got Holmes and Gagai as wingers, you know they're try-scoring machines. So Darius would have provided those goods.
I think Darius at fullback would have been a better option than Morgan at fullback, but I don't think Darius in for Holmes would have been a good idea.
That's why the selector's not even choosing Boyd as 18th, 19th, 20th. Any of those numbers.
I thought Holmes was one of Queensland's best players, so I think to leave him out for Boyd would be a bit of an irrational call.
Well, I'll say this. If the team was selected, Boyd would be in my side, other than Holmes. That's saying that Slater's at fullback. But I agree with you. He's not even 18th man, 19th or 20th. And to take over that hole, that big hole that they left, that Slater left when he was out. Because once that happened, there was only one champion player on that field, and that was Inglis. And there was no other leaders for the Maroons. There was just Inglis all by himself. Darius, don't get me wrong. Okay, Holmes, yeah, intercept, but I think anyone could intercept that. I think Corey Oates intercepts that ball, goes 90 metres and scores. You know, we're not talking about speed. I'm not talking about the speed or the talent that Holmes has, but the difference is that when it comes all on the line, under pressure, Darius would stand up. I don't think he gets that ball snatched out of him if he was jumping. Tom Javovic, gets snatched, Holmes gets snatched the ball. No, right. Tom Javovic snatches the ball out of Holmes' hands. That easy to score a try. Boyd would not. That would never happen to Boyd.
I guess not, but I think without that Valentine Holmes intercept try, it would have been a complete whitewash. It would have been even more than 22-12. It could have been a much different scoreline.
Yeah, I just think that I just can't believe that Boyd was left up. Well, like I said, my argument will be this: is that Walters, Queensland selectors, you guys selected Sam Thaiday, Aidan Guerra, all those guys from game one. They've all played game one, and then they all got chopped for game two. Why couldn't it be the same for Boyd if they lost? I don't even think Maroons lose actually if they had Boyd, because he could have just, like I said, when Slater went down, he could have went fullback, so it wouldn't matter anyway. But that's the thing.
And just like
Boyd
how
should have been in that team.
And they brought in Callum Ponga and Anthony Milford. They flew them down to come and be part of that Melbourne once they were in Melbourne. So they could have just easily got Valentine Holmes or someone like that. But Boyd would have been still on the team. And that was the biggest decision that they made, and it cost them. It cost them game one.
Yep, I reckon it did. I reckon leaving you don't leave champions out. Like last year, you left Slade out, they lose game one miserably. Game one this year, you leave out Boyd and Scott, Scott and Boyd, and they lose miserably again. It was just, they were non-existent, the Maroons. But yeah, that's to answer your question, Nick. That's how I feel about it. I'm not saying that Holmes doesn't deserve to be there, but at the same time, I just think you give that guy a shot. Now, if he doesn't perform in Origin level, which was highly, in my mind, highly unlikely, I believe Boyd definitely performs for Origin game number one. Because he's just like that. Him and Inglis, they needed that connection. And Inglis and Holmes, it's a new combination there. A new combination, and they just don't have that link like a Boyd and Inglis. Because I tell you this, they're not scoring on that side. I thought Will Chambers was pretty poor, pretty pathetic in game one. So, yeah, man, it's just amazing. Any other thoughts or any other mentions about the Maroons?
I said my piece, Hoonz.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay, then let's move on. Okay, on that with the Queensland side, guys, how did you rate Freddie's Blues, New South Wales Blues, and their performance in game one of Wednesday night? Nick, let's go to you, man.
I was pretty impressed. I think they look like a strong team. I think the back line certainly held its own. I was very concerned for Roberts and Latrell Mitchell in defence, defensively speaking, but they held their own. They were very strong. Latrell, God, he was driven. He was competitive. He wanted that. He was hungry for a win there. That was good to see. I think the forwards dominated, But I'm going to put that down to an absence of the Queensland forwards as opposed to just a dominating Blues force. To me, anyway. That's what I saw. And the backline battle, obviously, the spine work. Cleary and Maloney played well. They played brilliantly together as they're doing at the club level. So as much as it didn't surprise me to see him do well, it was to see him step up to an Origin level. To me, that's the highest level in rugby league, is state of origin, right? Nothing else really competes with it. So to see them step up to that arena at 20 years old, God, that's phenomenal from Cleary. I was so impressed with that. Damien Cook had a blinder of a debut. I think Tedesco at fullback was very dangerous. Every time he had the ball, he just looked dangerous. Whether, once again, that was an absence of Queensland forwards, or whether that was Tedesco being dangerous himself, I'm not sure. But they looked like a very damaging side. They looked like a very cohesive unit. So credit to them. They deserve that win, probably even by more than what they got.
Right. Well, let me tell you this, Hoonz. If I'm grading their performance was an A. For sure. 11 players on debut for the Blues. And Freddie and his staff, coaching staff, all throughout his advisors, they did a wonderful job at choosing the team. They absolutely destroyed the Maroons. And this is only mostly their first game. And we're talking about they destroyed them already. And then you don't know what they're going to do back at home in Sydney in game 2. But the spine, they easily beat the Maroon spine. And the forwards, well, I don't know if Queensland... I think Queensland had a bit of a cockiness in their forward pack. Yeah, they might have won. They might have started pushing the Blues back, their forward pack back, and they couldn't break that line for a while. But the Blues were like, how long can you keep it up? We'll just keep bashing you through. And then finally, they started getting tired. And that's when you saw line breaks. They got five line breaks. They still had one interchange left. And they didn't even use it. Freddie didn't even use that one interchange. They still had an interchange left. And Freddie didn't even use it.
And even so, one of them was used on Peachy for like 6 or 7 minutes or
exactly.
something.
So his second to last was putting Peachy on where the game was already won. But Peachy came on and played a blinder in that last 6 minutes. He did his job. He wanted the ball in his hands, and they knew that they had the game easily. Lateral Mitchell made Will Chambers look like he was nothing. He was that man, and this is the best centre in the world. Lateral destroyed him, like both defensively and offensively in attack. It was awesome to see. James Roberts, well, you understand, he played his part. But obviously, he's versing a champion player. And Inglis didn't let him get through because Inglis is a champion. And actually, and Tom Trbojevic, yeah, Valentine Holmes might have intercepted, but Tom Trbojevic owned Valentine Holmes. Overall, and if you look at performance, the only reason why he got a lot of meters, Valentine Holmes, is because of that intercept anyway. But if he never got that ball, guess what? It was either James Roberts, Jimmy the Jet scoring, or Tom Trbojevic scoring. So it could have gone the opposite way. And Maloney, even though he did errors, he made a few errors, said that I think the Blues only made maybe less than 5 errors, where compared to the Maroons, 9. So they were less than errors as well. And Maloney did 3 of them, but he always kept coming back. Maloney kept coming back, and he provided the goods. They applied pressure. Cleary applied pressure. Just like Nick said, Cleary, he's only 20 years old. That's amazing for a guy like him to just come into the Origin arena and slotting in there like he belongs there. And their forward pack is just, I think they're starting to get the right forward pack to participate in Origin now. Everybody was questioning other people, but no longer. Regan Gamble-Gillard was awesome. Clemmer was Clemmer.
Clemmer only played 28 minutes, though.
28 minutes.
28 minutes.
Paul Vaughan came in.
So I didn't see that Clemmer and Vaughan, I didn't see them have too big of an impact. Campbell-Gillard, best prop of the game, no doubt. He was phenomenal. But Clemmer and Vaughan, I didn't see have that sort of that impact they have at club level. I didn't see that there. I didn't think they were anything special.
But they just did their job. They did their roles. What they had to. Laid the platform for their halves. And Damien Cook did the rest for most of them. James Tedesco was always a threat. Yeah, all in all, Freddie's Blues, yeah, a performance, for sure. Hoonz?
Yeah, just to mimic you guys, the Blues were, fantastic. Fantastic in Origin Game 1. Freddie's Blues, that's the key, Freddie, I just think that with Brad Fittler coming in as coach and looking at his coaching staff, they're far superior than the Queensland coaching staff. Without Mal Meninga, a friend of mine actually told me that, Kevin Walters was, for the last 2 years, was hanging off the coattail of Mal Meninga. Mal Meninga's legacy and that last champion side legacy. And I agree. Now you look at and then he said that you look at the team now, and is that now Walters has to build his own legacy for coaching in Origin because it's a whole new team for Queensland. I mean, changing of the guard, in terms of changing of the guard, they've only got 2 champions left: Billy Slater, who did not play, and Greg Inglis. That's it. And Billy retires at the end of this series from representative football. So you see that. And now I'm like, okay, Kevin Walters, what you got? Well, Freddie just proved what he had in Game 1. Like Ra said, 11 debutants. Like you said, they won the forward battle. James Tedesco was amazing. Man of the match for sure. Deserved that man of the match. He terrorised Queensland.
He did.
Absolutely.
Such a threat.
He exposed Cameron Munster. I thought Cameron Munster was a solid defender, but he actually exposed him. James Tedesco was terrorising Cameron. Cameron was missing so many tackles, and that made me think that, Cameron Munster played a fantastic Game 3 last year, but then you see it in Game 1 this year. He doesn't have Smith, Cronk, or Slater around him. Now he's exposed. Like you said, the spine was fantastic for the Blues. The forward pack, I can't really mention much. I did notice that on the I think it was the Channel 9 build-up, and they said the best of the best are playing. I just wanted to get that straight first. Not the best of the best. Let's be honest, guys. Jonathan Thurston's not playing. Cameron Smith is not playing Origin anymore.
Cooper
Cronk's not playing. You look at that, and I kind of laugh at that aspects of it. But
Jason Tomalolo.
Yeah, Jason Tomalolo, Sam Burgess. Things.
Jesse Bromwich.
But in terms of the Blues, they were fast, so quick. And Tom Jabojevic, man, that guy really impressed me. Him and his brother Jake and Tom Jabojevic, the Jabojevic brothers. Honestly, I think that they're just a couple of the 2 best young players in the competition for sure, and they proved it in Origin level. Tom just diffused everything Queensland gave him. And like Ra said, he won that battle. Valentine Holmes, yes. Queensland's tries were just fortune, they were fortunate to get those tries. What? A grab a kick, Ben Hunt, grab a kick behind
That was
Dane Gagai.
That was a good try.
Yeah, but that was fortunate. It was off a kick, and then the other one was the first try was an intercept. So you look at those 2 aspects where the Blues actually just terrorised the middle third, terrorised the left flank. Who else scored? Lateral winning the battle against Will Chambers. Josh Addo-Carr scoring on the right. Oh, the left. Sorry.
Fending off Will Chambers.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. And so it was the right side that was... the right side of the Blues, left side of the Maroons. Yeah. Yeah, and it was just amazing. Amazing team performance. I think this would be interesting to see Sydney now.
Defensively. Defensively, the Blues were strong as well.
Yeah, right.
It just... When you look at it, we're talking about their offense a lot and their players, but defensively, they were definitely strong. Only 23 missed tackles? Something like that? 24? Compared to 53?
Well, Cleary had the most missed tackles for their team. He had 4. And out of the Maroons, I think, how many of them had more than that? Nearly all of them, or half of them, sorry. So Chambers had 10 missed tackles. Munster had 8.
That's ridiculous.
Hunt and Napa had 5. Kafusi had 8.
That's ridiculous.
Yep.
That's not Origin level.
No.
That's not Origin level. And the Blues, they were at Origin level, especially defensively.
Yep.
So that's why I got to commend their defense, because they didn't let the Maroons have a sniff whatsoever. None. Nothing. Nada.
Or they diffused a lot of what the Maroons were doing. Now, let's be honest. Wait, bruh. Okay. Let's be honest, right? Like, let's be honest. If the champion players of Queensland, the spine, were playing, New South Wales gets destroyed. Agreed? So we're talking about Smith, Thurston, Cronk. If they were the spine, do you think that they would have exposed the Blues line by then? Yeah. I think that they do. But you look at McCulloch, Hunt and Munster, they just provided nothing. They had so many opportunities down in that 20 metre zone, and they just couldn't provide. And that's on the back of the Blues defence. Just exposing their lack of experience at the Origin level.
Yeah. And that's why I love Freddie Fittler as well. The moment that Kevin Walters decided to put Anthony Milford on the field for the first time in the 60th so minute, I think the 60th something minute.
It was even later than that, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe. But this is how good his tactics is that, you're going to bring Anthony Milford on? Well, guess what? I'm going to bring in 2 players to nullify Anthony Milford from coming on.
Yeah, the impact of Anthony Milford.
Yeah, the impact of Anthony Milford. And guess what? He brought 2 forwards back on the field. So guess what the 2 forwards are doing? Covering the middle third. They're fresh. Anthony Milford's fresh. Doesn't hurt the Blues whatsoever. And that's why, tactically, Freddie just had it over. And that's why you got to commend that guy. I think Greg Alexander was the assistant. Isn't he the assistant coach?
Yep, Danny Badderas.
And you look at it, what position did they all play?
Spine.
In the spine.
Spine, yeah.
And they were just magnificent. It was just.
Then
I saw little tactical ploys.
So.
I saw little tactical ploys that Freddie did, and they were just spot on. And the audacity to have one interchange left and didn't even use it.
You're so right.
Oh, Freddie.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that until you just said it. That is just a...
At an Origin game.
Yeah.
In an Origin game.
Yeah, but that's just an insult to... That's just an insult. Like, Kevin Walters must be thinking he used all his interchanges.
Yep.
And still didn't do anything. You know, like... Oh, it's just crazy. Okay, like, on that topic, anyone else wants to talk about the Blues?
Nah, that's it. That's all me, man.
No,
Right, Nick?
I'm good.
Yeah, no. Okay, well, on that, what changes need to be made for Maroons for Game 2? Nick, let's do it.
It's hard. It's really hard. I was nervous about the forward pack. Anyway, before going into that game, but to me, it was still our best forward pack, minus Matt Scott. Like, I don't see any better option. So, as a last resort, bringing in Matt Scott, that's all I really have to offer at this stage. Obviously, Slater will be back in. Morgan will move to the bench. You've got to keep the rest of the team the same, I think. That's kind of, other than Slater and Scott in. To me, Cohen Hess out and Wallace to the bench. But I wouldn't be upset if Wallace was completely dropped either, because 50 metres from a starting prop at Origin level is disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. So, to me, that deserves an axe. But, once again, Cohen Hess didn't impress me either.
Harsh.
So, either Cohen Hess or Jared Wallace to be gone, one of them, and Scott in for one of them. Slater to fullback, Morgan to the bench. Backline the same. I don't have much else really to offer, other than just Slater and Scott. I think that's Queensland's last hope this year.
Okay, Ra, what about you?
It's crazy. To me, SOS cool. It's time to get those champions back. But I know that they retired. But the most important thing now for me is that, especially since Boyd retired as well, if Slater, now this is just if Slater is not fit, he's racing against the clock. If he is not fit to play, to me, it is time to bring in Kalen Punga. Put him at 1, give him a shot. He is something exciting. He's a player in the NRL I watch today who gets me excited. I rate him as like back when Inglis and the Inglis, the Slaters, when they were young. He excites me like that. And it's time. If you're going to put him even in the camp, you must put him on the field now. If Slater's not fit to play for game 2. And also, no, it's time for Michael Morgan to be number 7. I saw in that game, like Ben Hunt, yeah, he played a good game. That's an NRL level game. But Michael Morgan, he's all about clutch. He deserves to be in there because Ben Hunt is not that guy. He's not that guy, Nick. Hoonz? He's not that guy. Michael Morgan, at least you know that he can provide the goods. If you put pressure on him, he led a bloody team to a grand final. So now it's time for him to give him a shot because it's game 2. It's all or nothing now, or you lose the series. Michael Morgan at 7, and obviously Matt Scott has to come back. Not only that, yeah, Matt Scott comes back at 8, starting lineup, and Colin Hess has to be dropped. And if Jared Wallace gets dropped, it's time to bring in another young gun from the Broncos forwards. One of those can do it because they've been playing hard. But you got to look for people that will make impact. I don't even know who that is. Like Nick's been saying, like it's difficult. But Matt Scott has to come back as well. And I know that he'll probably come back because he just has that experience. He will make more than 50 meters.
No doubt.
50. Come on, that's ridiculous. He would easily make over 50 meters. He would pretty much carry the Maroons pack if he has to. And he would be like, follow me, boys. This is how you do it. From the first hit up. That's all I got to say. Hoonz, yourself?
I know, boys, like with Jared Wallace only making 50 metres, you know what? I think Dylan Nupper didn't play a great game either. I think both front rowers were not there.
No, they weren't.
I just think that they both were non-existent. They didn't set a tone for the Queenslanders.
Considering they played Origin before, and a man named Jai Arrow comes into the team and he showed them how it's done as well. He played not an exceptional game, but a good game.
He's not a spectacular player, Jairo, but he was there. He was just consistent, and he just did his job. He wanted to be there. He had that drive. You could see it. He wanted to work, and he found it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Jairo definitely stepped up. I think that changes will be made. Slater in, but I agree with you. Kalen Ponga is in if Slater's out. I think he just provides a spark that the Maroons need. He's by himself at the Newcastle Knights as the playmaker. No one else is helping him. And he's showing teams, like, he's giving the Knights chances to win games. He's actually been so good in the NRL. It's
His
just
cutout pass against the Roosters the other day.
Yeah. Oh no! And that ankle break on James Tedesco. Oh, how great was that?
It was beautiful.
Beautiful. He did that against an Origin player. Say no. Hang on, buddy. We're losing, but I'm still gonna make you in the highlight reels.
But guess what? Like on that for Kalen Ponga, is that against the Roosters, they had the majority of their Blues players back, but they only lost by 2 points.
Yeah, see, that's how impressive Kalen Ponga is, right? You know, I think I agree with you.
Audience, guys, listeners, sorry, Hoonz to button, but yeah, that's if Slater is not fit to play, because it's definitely Slater. You have to put a champion player in. Back to you, Hoonz.
Yeah, agreed. So, that's only if Slater's out, because we know Slater's fullback. I think Ponga, 18th man, has to be now.
And I think Cleary broke that kind of age barrier.
Yep.
Yeah, he was young as a starting playmaker for the Blues, and he proved himself. He was a good playmaker. You know, he's got the makings. So, it doesn't matter about your age.
Exactly.
If you're ready to play Origin, you're ready to play Origin, regardless of how old you are.
I think, but Kalen looked great. You know, when you've seen the changing rooms on game 1, seen the Queensland changing rooms, and you've seen Kalen there with his headphones on and just grooving. I'm like, dude, you got to play him. He looks primed, ready for this game right now.
Yeah.
But they didn't play him, obviously. But you're like, and then after the game, you had that feeling like, Kalen was playing, I don't know. I think he would have sparked something in the Queenslanders. To be honest, I probably would have picked him over Anthony Milford.
Oh, fully. It's
Oh,
an utility.
So,
agree.
just to give that extra spark, because I think he's more dangerous.
Yep.
I don't think the Blues would be prepared for someone like him.
And that's another point. Like, selectors and Kevin Walters choose Anthony Milford, who's not informed,
He's not informed, no.
and you take out Boyd. That's another excellent question about that.
Can I just say, though, they did... Kevin Walters did say they didn't pick Ponga because of I think it was a 3 or 4 day turnaround from his game with the Knights, whereas Milford had the weekend off for the Broncos.
That's right. Yep.
That was the reason. Kevin said, age wasn't really relevant to it. It was solely the fact Ponga had played on the weekend. We didn't want to put that pressure on his body.
But he was amazing in that game, though. Knights. He was already on high because didn't the Knights win? I'm pretty sure.
Yep,
Not just one. They smashed them.
Yeah. So you look at that game and you're like, oh wow, this is amazing. Kalen just destroyed a team and put him into the side.
I would understand. I would understand if he was in the starting lineup, but Anthony Milford wasn't in the starting lineup. He was just sub. So you could have put Callum Ponga, especially the mere fact that you put Anthony Milford on the 65th minute. Callum Ponga could have waited all there, but at least he would have provided spark. He would have provided that X factor, that somebody that can make something out of nothing happen. You know what I mean? So he should have played him. Carry on, Hoonz.
Yeah, I would say, Ponga and Scott, and unless Slater's injury free. But I think they should actually make another bold move and actually drop Wallace, drop Hess, because he's done nothing. Like I said, I'm a Cowboy supporter, and he's done nothing for the Cowboys. And I would actually bring in Corey Oates. I truly believe he's the informed Bronco, besides James Roberts. So I think that they're bringing him in. He's a big body. He's a forward. He's the back in the forward's body. So it's like, bring him in. His speed will cause havoc. His power will cause havoc, especially maybe late in the half or the first half, late in the second half, or early on, to bring him in as that impact forward. Because I look at that bench, I just don't see impact in the Maroons' force. So I would actually bring in Corey Oates. He can play second rower. Josh Maguire can go up to the front row if necessary. So, because Josh Maguire can play everywhere in the forwards. It doesn't matter. He can play hooker.
Maybe move Jai Arrow to lock?
Yeah, or Jai Arrow.
Sorry, if you move Maguire, front row, Arrow to lock.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there you go, Nick. Yeah. So that's what I have to say, because you guys basically, I agree with you guys, but just throw in Corey Oates.
Yeah, no, I completely forgot about Corey Oates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oates.
I love Oates. I just think he's been hard done by this Queensland selected board and Cameron Walters. Getting dropped from game one last year, and he did nothing wrong. I just don't understand how you can, a young guy like that who is in form, and you don't pick him anywhere. Man, he wasn't even 18th, 19th, or 20th as well. It's crazy.
It's crazy as well, because you look at it, and every time, like after an Origin game, you go back to your club, and usually they all play well. Some of them did not play well. Josh Papali played well. I watched that game in Raiders. He was one of the Raiders' best.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But they always perform. Origin players. They always perform once they hit. Cameron Munster was another good example. For some reason, he was on fire with the Melbourne Storm.
He was.
Colin Hess did not perform. No? Gavin Cooper, unfortunately, didn't perform. Michael Morgan was injured. Who else? Ben Hunt wasn't performing for the Dragons. The Dragons almost lost. So that's how you know if you're a top tier player, the best of the best, supposedly, you should go back to your club and you should perform. And I didn't see that in some of them.
Yeah, I look at the Blue squad, and they actually, a lot of them performed well.
Yep.
Yeah. They went back to their clubs and actually performed well.
Or, their rivals and that wants to get back into that Blue side. For example, Josh Jackson played an excellent game.
Yeah.
He wants that. He wants that blue jumper back. You could see that he's annoyed. He's annoyed that he didn't get picked, but he played the game of his life. I thought he was one of the best on the field.
Yeah, he was probably one of the hard done by ones.
Yeah, he was too. But he could be in competition with DeBellin there. I didn't see DeBellin as anything special the other night.
No, not
I
really.
barely noticed him. And I definitely think you would have noticed Josh Jackson if he plays, because you always notice him. He's a solid player.
Yeah.
He's not a spectacular player by any stretch of the word, but he's a solid player. Just a good, consistent second rower. And you'd have noticed him a lot more than DeBellin. So I'd put him back in for the Blues. Drop DeBellin.
Yeah, wow.
Well,
Man.
yeah. Well, because to me, anyway, Jack Jablevich should be 13.
Yeah, let's just carry on with this trend.
Fully, I don't really care if Jake starts on the bench or starts, and then Josh Jackson's on the bench or starts.
Yeah, let's carry on deal with that then. Any changes for the Blues then?
No, other than anything like
How
maybe,
could you?
Maybe, yeah.
How could you really?
I just love that backline. I just think that backline's devastating. Devastating. Speed everywhere.
Yep.
And James Roberts proved right. He gets a right hand fin from Inglis, the famous fin.
Yep.
But I noticed something different about James Roberts. He never gave up. He used the speed to catch Inglis and tackle him.
Yep.
And I was just like, that's why
An origin player.
Yeah, people were saying that defensively Roberts wasn't strong or was not going to be strong in Origin against Inglis. But you know what? Inglis wasn't in the game at all because Roberts did his best to nullify Inglis as much as he could.
Plus, there's a ball hogger.
Yeah, and Cameron Munster was just ball hogging
Yeah.
all the way. But yeah, no, I got no changes for the Blues guys.
Yeah, don't change your winning formula.
Yeah, no way.
I think with the coaching staff they have, honestly, yeah, that's what this is going to lead into the next and final question, guys. Who wins game 2? Ra.
Blues. Game 2 in Sydney, Blues will win. And I truly believe easily. I reckon they're going to win convincingly. If Maroons do not have Slater and they don't pick right, they will get smashed back in Sydney. Now they're on a high. These 11 players that just debuted, they're definitely on a high. And you know that for a fact is that at home, they're definitely not going to lose. And I might have to start getting my broom out. And start sweeping.
That's awesome.
Because I truly believe that the Maroons might get swept. They might get swept in this series. But game 2 in Sydney, Blues will win and reclaim that illustrious State of Origin shield. Nick?
Love an underdog. Right, love an underdog. I'd go Queensland. Queensland by 2 or 4. Haven't decided on which one yet. Decide closer to the game, but yeah. I don't see them. If they do lose this, I fully support you. 3-0, no doubt in my mind. But I'm backing them to win. I think with a last-ditch effort, similar to last year, we lost even more convincingly in Game 1 last year. 28-12 final score last year in Game 1, wasn't it? To the Blues.
I thought it was convincingly.
So, I mean, it's been done before. They had to win the decider in Sydney. They had to win the decider in Sydney, and they did it. So it's not out of reach, and as long as they make the appropriate changes, I think they'll just get there.
So game 2,
Queensland by 2.
Queensland by 2. Ra says New South Wales
By a lot.
And I'm going to say this, Nick. Right. The difference between this year and last year, they had a man named Jonathan Thurston, a man by the name of Cameron Smith, 2, if not the greatest players of all time. They had the great Cooper Cronk, and then they had Billy Slater. They don't have those guys.
Don't forget Darius. Don't forget Darius.
Yeah, Darius Boyd Centre, that's right. They don't have those guys now. I truly believe that because Queensland lost game 1 this year, without those guys, unless something miraculous happens and an SOS call has gone out to one of them, I have to support Ra. I have to say New South Wales will win. But by the way that things are trending, unless if they make the necessary changes like Michael Morgan, I think Michael Morgan has to be 7. Cameron Munster still at 6. Let's see what Morgan can do, because this is under pressure now. You're under pressure. Andrew McCulloch has to be 9. There is no other. You don't go to Jake Granville. You don't go to Jake Friend.
And you made 50 tackles.
Yeah, exactly. You need a solid
earned
defense
his
spot.
You go to Jake Granville or Jake Friend, you lose.
Yeah, you lose.
You lose convincingly.
No doubt.
Like I said, you get smashed.
I say this. I feel like Queensland will throw everything at them. But the heartbreak of last year for the Blues, And then with their new coaching staff and 11 debutants that haven't felt that pain, but pain is felt by James Tedesco, David Clement, some of those guys that felt that pain of game 2 last year, where they lost the series right then and there against those greats, against those champion players, greatest of all times. Jonathan Thurston kicking that goal. That's the difference this year. This is the difference. They know they're not going to be complacent. They know this. They're not going to let Queensland take over momentum during the games. And Freddie won't allow that. Danny Baderis won't allow that. Greg Alexander won't allow that. Andrew John, the 8th, the 8th immortal. He won't allow that. That's the difference between the Blues and Queensland and the Maroons right now. I just feel like the coaching staff are far superior. I think that with the Sydney background, I have to go. Yeah, I flipped onto New South Wales side. I think that they would win. My heart says Queensland, but my head says New South Wales.
And I do agree. I think last year with Hayne in centre and with Pearce at halfback, you did see them get complacent. You saw them watching the clock in game 2.
They just think that they won it.
They thought they'd won it. And they were just running out the clock with about 15 minutes to go.
Exactly.
This Blues team was hungry. They wanted that win. And that scares me a little bit because I didn't see that last year.
No.
As much as they dominated game 1, I didn't see it.
And are you changing your mind, Nick?
No.
Are you
Queensland by
changing
2.
my mind?
Queensland by 2. I'm just a lot more scared than I was last year.
What
I'm making there.
What I'm scared for is that they don't have the champions. They don't have those guys. Those guys are clutch. This is clutch time. Cameron Smith, Jonathan Thurston, Cooper Cronk, Billy Slater, all clutch. They know how to win Origin games. This new spine, they don't know how to win Origin games like that. The only person that might do it, I feel, Michael Morgan. I just feel like he knows in the big stage he's done it before. He's done it. He was the reason why Queensland.
They offload to Gagai.
Yeah. So he doesn't do that. He doesn't go move to centre and does a play like that. They don't win the bloody game. They don't give Thurston a shot at goal. So that's why I truly believe Ben Hunt also he's been in good form, but he reverts back to the bench. I think that he has to go back to the bench. Let Morgan control this game. That's just what I feel. They do that, I would say Queensland wins. But if they don't do that, New South Wales take the series in Sydney. Yeah, and then if they get swept, like Ra said, that was pretty funny with the broom. Surely they won't lose.
I'm getting my broom out.
Surely
I'm getting my broom out.
I know, I fully support Ralph. If Queensland lose game 2, there's no chance they'll win.
Are you really going to lose at Suncorp Stadium?
You're damn right they will.
Maroons? Yeah, because it just doesn't. Okay, Nick. Do you have that same feeling? Right. Do you guys have that same feeling of the Maroons? That aura of just we just had the best team. That championship team. Those champions that we were playing. Honestly, I only feel that for English. Other than that, I just look at the Maroons and I go, we're screwed. It doesn't have that same threat anymore.
Yep.
Any other final words, guys?
I think I'm all done.
Yeah,
I'll just have to get my broom.
I've taken long enough to say what I need to say.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us on 20 Metre Restart. Agree to disagree with this Origin wrap-up and the Origin edition. Thanks for joining us. Hoonz, Nick, and Ra signing off.